Hey guys, it's Jeff from Pressure Luck, and alright, I've heard you. I know you all want it. The time has come for me to finally make a pork dish. Yes, I'm finally doing it. And I'm surprised it's taken me this long because, frankly, I love pork. Again, don't tell my rabbi, but I love this stuff. It's so tender and so flavorful and delicious. We're gonna make a pork tenderloin today, but not just any pork tenderloin. Again, if you've been watching my videos and you know me, think about some of the things I've made. I've made lo mein, Moo Shu Pork, the chow long bao. Are you sensing a trend? I love Chinese food. I love Asian food in general, guys. So we're going to make, in the Instant Pot, so crazy easy, a Chinese pork tenderloin. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to change the way that you eat pork tenderloin. Let's begin, shall we? So the first thing we need is about 2 pounds of a pork tenderloin. It's okay if it's a little bit more, but that's what we want. 2 pounds of a pork tenderloin. You could find this in pretty much the deli section of any supermarket. And then open the packaging of the pork tenderloin. There'll probably be 2 of them in there, and then lay them on a cutting board. So we're gonna wanna now pre-cut our pork tenderloin into discs about a ½ inch thick. This is gonna be so much easier to do now than later because it's gonna become super juicy and tender. And also with the marinade that we're gonna create, it's gonna more easily seep into each piece. It's gonna be perfect. And then add our sliced tenderloin to a freezer bag when done. Now creating our marinade sauce in a mixing bowl, we're going to start with a ½ cup of beef broth, a ¼ cup of a light brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice. And to those who've never used it before, it's this stuff right here. This brand called the Spice Hunter makes it, and it can be found in most markets. And to those who can't find it, I'll link it in the recipe where you can buy it on Amazon. A ½ teaspoon of paprika, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. I'm using low sodium, 1 tablespoon of cooking sherry, 1 tablespoon of hoisin sauce, a tablespoon of crushed garlic, a ½ tablespoon of a crushed ginger. And by the way, I love using this Spice World squeeze ginger. You get this whole thing from Costco for not a lot of money at all. It's so handy for whenever you need ginger in a recipe. Instead of having to buy the roots and just, slicing them up, all you have to do is get this and just squeeze it on in. Now this final ingredient is totally optional. I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of a white miso paste, which you could find in many supermarkets. Sometimes you'll see them under white miso, sometimes under red. We want to use the white one, and we only want to use 1 teaspoon of it. Again, if you can't find this, it is completely fine, not necessary. I just feel like it adds a little bit of an extra touch to the meat is all. And add our miso paste in with the rest of our sauce. And now give everything a good stir so everything is nice and combined together. And once we feel that all of our sugar is dissolved, we are going to be all set. And let's pour our marinade right on top of our tenderloin. And then seal the bag until we have a little bit of an opening at the end so we can press all the air out of the bag. We want all the air out of there, and then continue sealing. And now just make sure that all of the marinade gets nice and mixed in with all the tenderloin. And then pop it in the fridge for 24 hours. Yes, we want it to marinate for 24 hours, and we want to flip it over once during that process as well. So let that sit in the fridge. Trust me, the end result's going to be worth it when each of those wonderful pork tenderloin medallions saturate up all that amazing Chinese marinade. And about 12 hours in, if you remember, give the meat a flip in the bag so the sauce has a chance to then, do both sides evenly. Okay, and now that 24 hours have passed, let's take this wonderfully marinated pork tenderloin out of the fridge, and we're going to put it right into our Instant Pot. And just dump the entire bag in with all the marinade. Alright. Give it all a stir for a minute just so everything settles nicely. Good. We're going to add 4 more ingredients right before we cook. We're going to add another ½ cup of beef broth, a ¼ cup of hoisin sauce, a ⅓ cup of honey, and a little more of that Chinese 5-spice, a ½ teaspoon. And give everything a good mix up, making sure that everything gets nice and incorporated together. And make sure all of our meat is nice and submerged in this delicious marinade sauce. And let's put our lid on top. If you're in the Ultra, you're automatically in sealing position. If you're on a Duo or any other model, make sure you're in sealing position. Come down here, hit pressure cook or manual if you're on a Duo series. And then we're just gonna go for 8 minutes on high pressure and then just hit start. Perfect. Now while the pork is cooking, let's make a cornstarch slurry by adding 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and 2 tablespoons of water. And mix that together so it goes from a cement-like texture into a nice and smooth one. Now that our cooking time's done, we're going to allow a 10-minute natural release, which means that's going to count to the number 10, and then we're going to finish with a quick release. Okay, it's been a 10-minute natural release, so we're going to follow it off with a quick release. Pin dropped, and let's take our lid off, and there's our beautiful pork tenderloin. Now let's take it out of the pot. So let's take a slotted spoon and remove our delicious pork, and then put it in a serving dish. And there we go. Now what we want to do is we want to take our sauce and we just want to drain all the little particles that we have in here, all these little particles here, through a little strainer, and then we're going to reserve our sauce. And we're going to do that by putting a little strainer over a bowl and just pour the sauce in there and let all of the fat from the pork just stay in the strainer. And there we go, perfect. There's our sauce, nice and filtered with all the fat out of there. And now let's pour the sauce that we've strained right back in the Instant Pot. And then come down here and go to saute and then hit that, and this high is good, don't worry about the time, just hit start. And as the sauce is heating up, let's add our cornstarch slurry. And give it all a good stir, and then let's bring it to a bubble. And as it begins to bubble, you're gonna see it's already kind of like a thicker kind of bubble because of the honey in there and some of the cornstarch. Let it bubble for about a minute, and then we're gonna turn the heat off. And now it's been about a minute, so I'm just gonna come down here and hit the cancel button or the off button, and we're all good to go. Let that kind of stop bubbling down for a bit so it becomes nice and stagnant, and then we're gonna pour it over our pork. And once we're starting to really simmer down on the bubbling, we're good. About a minute or so of resting after we turn it off, and now let's spoon our sauce over our pork. Look at that. Oh, this sauce is outrageous. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Oh, I mean, it smells so good, it wouldn't surprise me if you guys could smell it with the camera. And there is our beautiful Chinese-style pork tenderloin. Oh, let's serve some of this up. And this is exactly why I pre-cut the meat in the very beginning, because it's going to be so tender. It's just so much easier to serve this way. You see, it won't fall apart. It'll just be super easy to transport onto a plate and so easy to serve. A little bit more sauce over that. You could serve it over some rice if you wish. Now it's time to try this delicious Chinese pork tenderloin out. Okay guys, look at this. I'm not even gonna need a knife because it just cuts that tenderly. I mean, look at this. It's so tender already, and this sauce, oh, I'm gonna tell you right now. Look, I'm a Jewish guy and I'm super proud of it, and I mean no disrespect, but I'm really glad I'm not kosher right now. Wow, wow, wow. Oh. This is single-handedly the best pork tenderloin I've ever had in my entire life, and I would never just say that. Just try it out for yourself. You're gonna see that this thing is so good, it's gonna take you to places you've never been before. Richard, what? Come here. I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna cut this, and you're gonna see it. Again, all I need to do is cut it with a fork because it's that tender. Don't put me in the eye. And there you go. Try that out. How is that?
Well, really good.
Did I tell you what to say?
I'm gonna give us more.
There you go. This guy, he's never had this before. I mean, he's had pork tenderloin before, but not this pork tenderloin. It's so incredibly moist and tender. That sauce is. What do you think of the sauce?
It's great.
This is like
a mahogany sauce.
It's like a mahogany, Chinese mahogany sauce with that 5 spice adds so much to it. Oh, the hoisin, the honey, guys. This recipe on another level. So easy. You know, just put it in the fridge for 24 hours to marinate. So worth it. All right, there's plenty left. I mean, make it with a rice too. It's gonna be perfect with a rice, especially my hibachi rice that you might have heard of. And not only is it so much easier to slice by doing it before you cook it because it becomes so moist and tender it almost falls apart, but it also gives each slice of the pork so much flavor infused into it. Oh, I'm telling you right now, you're just gonna fly away onto a cloud. Guys, if you like this video, if you think that this pork looks amazing, trust me, take my word for it, it is. Go to pressureluckcooking.com, tons of recipes there. Everything you'd want it. It runs the entire gamut. Just check it out. Also, go to facebook.com/pressureluckcooking for tons more content. I'm always Facebook living once a week. I do some little posts here and there. At least daily I post something to the page. You wanted a pork recipe? You guys got a pork recipe. This thing is on another level. And I'm telling you right now, go to Pinterest, go to my webpage, go to Pinterest and pin it. You're gonna wanna try it right away. I'm telling you right now, you're not gonna regret it. You're gonna love it. You're gonna share it. You're gonna be really happy, and so are the kids. Pork tenderloin is the new chicken today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm so happy there's so much left.